Most e-commerce brands hit a revenue ceiling at around 50 or 100K per month when they run into tons of problems for their D2C strategy. It's rarely because your product is bad. It's actually probably because your creative production is really chaotic. If you're treating ad creative like an art project, when brands in the 21st century are basically media companies, in order to scale, you actually need to treat your creative processes like a manufacturing line. So if you're trying to hire a perfect employee, a unicorn employee that does all of the strategy, filming and editing, then you're basically building a bottleneck. You're not actually building a business itself. So I'm going to share with you and share my screen in this video, taking you through the exact operational system that we're using in our agency, AdPunch. And this is basically a blueprint that will allow you to ship 100 plus ads per month without burning you and your team out. So without further ado, let's actually just jump right into the video and let's get into the system. Okay, so the 100 ad blueprint and how you can actually build an internal creative factory for your brand that outputs you the perfect ad creatives is all in this document, what I'm going to take you through here. So starting with the 5 roles of a scalable creative team, you need to stop as a brand that's growing fast, I hope, looking for a unicorn employee to cover every aspect of the system, but instead compartmentalize each of these sections, strategy, filming, editing, delivery, and launching, into separate roles with completely separate tasks that specific employees take care of. That way, everything will be a lot more efficient. You can keep up with the pace of growth for your ad account, and it will allow you to just output more creative to fuel your ad account for more growth profitably, hopefully. So the unicorn myth is most brands will try and hire one person to do this. If they're filming, they aren't editing, that's the problem. If they're editing, they aren't strategizing, that's another problem. And the result is the person that's employed just gets burnt out. They do 3 to 5 concepts per week. But if you want to spend 50K, 100K per month, then you're just not going to be able to keep up with the creative that you need for that. So the 5 distinctive hats that you must wear is: number 1, there's management, and the way in which I show these are the individual swim lanes, which I'll show you in more detail later. Each swim lane represents a specific employee or a specific role within the team. One person might cover 2 roles, for example. Management might cover the strategist role as well as management role, whereas a video editor might just cover the video editor role. But to outline, if in an ideal situation you have the capital to actually invest in specific employees for each role, then the roles will be as follows. So management, which is you as an owner or as a chief marketing officer or something like that. Main function for you is you're a quality gate. You approve all the high level angles, all of the ideas for batches of creatives, the overarching offer that is prevailing in your store, and just the budget before production starts. Then the creative strategist is the architect, and they analyze the data, mine reviews for angles, write briefs, and manage the pipeline. And they basically translate those business goals into creative concepts that they'll run, and they'll also run creative retrospectives as well with these ideas in mind. So in our agency, every month we run a creative retrospective for our clients where we take them through what creatives have went well in terms of the concepts that we have tested in the past month, maybe what hasn't done well, what are we actually doing to iterate on each of those to make the performance as efficient as possible. And then finally, with all of that learning in mind, what are we actually doing for our next creative batch for our clients? So then the other roles are a video editor or a static editor. We call them both editors. Videos and statics obviously have different roles in terms of editing skills that you need. So having separate freelancers for these if you're just in the early days, or full-time roles, is ideal, because often video editors don't have the creative flair that you need for graphic design, for creating nice static ads, and static ad creators or graphic designers don't have video editing skills that you need to make your video ads as engaging and as converting as possible. So splitting up those roles between employees is ideal in this situation. And essentially what they do is they assemble the final assets for the ad creatives based on the briefs that were designed by the creative strategist. And yeah, it depends what tools you want to use as well for this. We will generally get our video editors to use Premiere Pro or CapCut, but generally Premiere Pro. And then for static ad design, we actually design everything in Figma. Some graphic designers like to prefer to use Photoshop, but Figma is a lot easier for making small edits when, for example, a client asks for something on a call or anything like that. So if you're a founder or you're a creative strategist and you don't have skills in Photoshop, for example, Figma's quite a bit easier to make those changes. So that's why we prefer to use it. And then finally, a media buyer. So they're the one that distribute your ads. They're the ones that manage your ad account. They launch the tests based on the batches of ads that are available to them, based on what's actually happening in the brand in terms of offers, anything like that. And they act as a kind of close to that entire data feedback loop, and they report back to the strategist. But ideally, the strategist has the ability to review the ad account, look at the metrics within the ad account, and make decisions from a creative strategy perspective there as well. So first phase is strategy and what actually happens here and who is involved in this. So the creative strategist and management are involved in this, and you'll see there's a number of different steps here that take a new idea for a concept all the way to the creator list being sourced if it's a video, or just sending the static to editing if it is a brief that's completed. But to go into those steps in a little bit more detail, is the objective of this is to validate the angle, the hook, and the offer before a camera is ever turned on, before a Figma design is started to be created. And the thing to remember here is fixing a script for an ad before it's ever ran or before it's ever filmed costs $0, but fixing produced video ads costs more money, as well as going back to the Figma board and trying to fix static ads that have mistakes in them will cost hours. So the thing to remember here is you want to take an idea from the creative strategist that they have in mind based on past feedback, based on competitors, or based on just ideas that they see in our own ad libraries or your own ad libraries, your ad boards that you might keep, to present it to the management. So ideally, as a manager or as a founder, you want to do a weekly call or a monthly call with your creative strategist where they present the concept or the angle to you. The action you take then is you approve or reject the idea. And the reason you're doing this is it just eliminates any creatives being made and then not being approved after they've been made by management. So it's really, really frustrating for us as a agency if we create creatives for our clients and then they just say, oh, I don't like that or something like that. But the way we actually solve that bottleneck is we present all of these briefs before and all of these ideas before we ever go and create them, so that there's just less issues like that. So it happens a lot less. Then in terms of the briefing, once approved, the strategist will actually build the briefs in a creative pipeline of some form. So we use a project management system, Notion, for our tracking and for all of our clients. However, you might use something like Asana. You can even do this on Google Sheets if you'd like. I will share a template for this at some stage later. Or if you just send me an email, I'll send our own template to you for a Google Sheet. And you basically just need to create a UGC brief or a static ad brief. And what this brief should include is a hypothesis. It should include the script, visual direction, and creator requirements as well. So you can see here, there's a script, some A-roll shots, some B-roll shots, and some text hook overlays that will be used by the video editor to go and create that in editing later. But the script is there in terms of visual and audio for the UGC creator, as well as the shot list that they need to take for B-roll to make sure that you're getting adequate raw content that will allow you to variate the video enough to prepare it for Andromeda. So then after that, once the briefs are done and approved by management, if they want to review them again, that's fine. Then the creator will go, or the creative strategist will go and source the creators. So for UGC, a strategist will source maybe 5 to 10 different creators that match the demographic of that specific angle or of that specific persona for the UGC creative, and they'll present this shortlist for selection to you as management. Once a creator is selected, then the project will actually move to filming and you've completed this strategy process. So one kind of insight is we treat the briefing stage as a paper edit. We want the script to be extremely, extremely detailed, and it will basically show every aspect of the video, from visuals to audio to text overlays, everything like that, so that we can imagine it in our heads and we can hire the right creator for it. And there isn't just any ambiguity for that creator in what they need to film. And there's less hiccups then with reshoots and everything like that. So recommended kind of things that you need to use here: Notion, Asana, Trello, ClickUp, Monday.com, or just Sheets for your project management. And then Slack, Microsoft Teams, Discord, whatever you communicate on, WhatsApp, messages, I don't know, it depends what you're using within your own business, but we obviously use Slack. So then we move on to phase 2, and that is filming. So this is where you're sourcing raw ingredients for the content. And who's involved in this? Well, it's the creative strategist and the content creator. Now, the content creator role for this in this system, the creator is simply the person holding the camera. It isn't always a UGC creator. It can be an influencer, it can be an internal team member, or it can be you, the founder, just filming on your iPhone, doing whatever. It doesn't actually refer to a specific UGC creator in this situation, whereas the way in which you set up the briefs might be slightly different for each of these content creator roles. For example, with a UGC creator, we give extremely detailed briefs. With influencers, we give suggested structures on what they should go with for the video, or maybe specific market desires that are being achieved from using the product, for example, just to give the influencer some ideas on what we want, but allowing them to put their own creative flair, their own style on the video, which a lot of influencers like to do. So then internal team and founders, we generally will script those quite detailed as well, but we want them to speak in their own language as well. So the operational workflow for this is assignment and outreach by the creative strategist. So the strategist or management will select the right face, which is the right creator, from phase 1, and then they will confirm the availability by reaching out to them, communicating with them, and sending them the specific brief to make sure that they're okay with that. They will then go on to the production section, which is the content creator actually creating that content. So if it's a UGC creator, the product needs to be sent to them. If it's someone on the internal team, they just need the brief sent to them so that they're ready to create the content. And they create the content based on the shot list. The golden rule here is that they don't edit the content themselves. If you're a founder, you don't edit the content. If you're a UGC creator, you don't edit the content. If you're an influencer, they will often edit the content, but sometimes it's good to ask for the raw content files as well. But we ask for the raw files only. And what I mean by raw files is they will shoot the individual scenes on their mobile. They will also shoot a talking head to the camera where they speak the entire script just directly to camera, like I'm speaking right now, if you can see me in the camera. And all of those files are then uploaded to a digital asset management system like this. So we use a tool called air.inc, but the reason we use it is every single scene is then tagged based on, for us, what client it is, what type of shot it is, whether it's UGC A roll, UGC B roll, high production A roll, high production B roll, statics, etc., or influencer content, etc. Then everything is tagged based on whether it's a creator or not, whether it's a specific hook, whether they're going through social proof, whether they're talking about features, advantages, benefits. And the reason for this will be clear a little bit later when we talk about iterations and new creatives. So the final thing here is the quality gate. So this is the creative strategist, and the crucial step here is they will go through a content review section where they review all of this content, check it that it aligns with the brief and everything that was requested for the creator, and just move it forward in the creative pipeline then. So there should be a creative checklist here. If everything is good, if the lighting is good, the audio is good, they hit the hook correctly, the script correctly. If yes, then it moves to editing, which is the next section of the process. If no, then the creator goes back and does a reshoot immediately as soon as possible. You want to speed this process up as fast as possible. But if you have effective briefs, then you won't run into that problem. So you should think of the strategist as just kind of the head chef. The creator then is the farmer, and they're supplying the ingredients to the chef. And then the editor is actually the cook that is assembling the dish. So the strategist or the chef thinks of the idea or the meal. The creator or the farmer will actually film the content or send over the ingredients to the chef, and the editor or the cook will actually edit the content, which is next, and actually assemble the food, or that's what a cook does, I suppose. So you never want the farmer to cook the meal. You always just want high quality, fresh ingredients delivered to the kitchen, ready for preparation. Recommended tech stack for this: sourcing creators, we use an abundance of different tools. Twitter or X, Incense, Billow, Backstage, where we use actors, just direct outreach on socials, any micro influencers, just any creators in general on socials is always a good way to find them as well. Asset storage, so you can use Google Drive. The reason we don't use it, you can't do any of this tagging. Google Drive folders are an absolute nightmare. I hate them. So we use a digital asset management system like Air.inc or Frame.io. Next up is the editing phase. So this is the assembly line and the feedback loop, and who's involved in this is the creative strategist as well as the editor. The content creator has done their role now. So the editor role in this system, the editor is the builder. They cover two distinct skill sets. So like I said, we say editor for a video editor. We also say editor for a static ad designer. And you'll notice that from the strategy phase, at the very start of this process, statics don't go through the filming process, obviously. So when a brief is approved by management from a creative strategist, that is moved directly to editing, where the static editors take over here. So the only difference for a video ad is that it needs to be filmed first and approved and everything like that, which I've just went through. The operational workflow for this is, firstly, it's assignment. The creative strategist will take raw files, which is from phase 2, and assign them to specific concepts from phase 1. So when they double check that it aligns, then they will tag the editor in the project management tool. So you can see here, we're tagging our video editor here, if it shows properly. And yeah, basically just moves it through the pipeline. If you have the right system set up and you have good communication in your brand, then your video editor should see that instantly, take over. Maybe you send them a Slack message about it, and then they will actually go see the assets that need to be assembled. They'll have the raw files, they'll have a clear brief. They don't make just one ad, they make 3 to 5 variations that are listed in the ad. And they'll have different visuals, different hooks, different pacing. They might use AI voiceovers to make it more diverse, so it's prepped for Andromeda from the same batch of footage. And then the crucial step here is that your creative strategist reviews the end result. Just like for us, our creative strategist will review it, but also our clients will review it then as an additional step before it's ever ran. But you should review all the videos, make sure that everything's accurate, leave comments on the videos if you need to, either from Google Drive, or else we use Frame.io for this. You can just say things like, cut this pause at 4 seconds, make this music louder. It's really, really easy to do it using this tool. And then final handoff, once approved, the editor can upload any additional sizes. Maybe you want a 9x16. We actually are a 4x5. We deliver everything in 9x16 with a safe zone above and below, so that it can just be cut easily into 4x5. And yeah, the concept's moved to approve. So one insight here is we don't ask our editors really to come up with the cool idea for the ad. That actually is the strategist's job. A strategist has a deep, deep knowledge and understanding of ad creatives, ideas, trends that other brands and social media trends that are happening, and the editors just kind of execute the specific vision with the technical excellence, so the video editing skills or just creative and graphic design flair that they will have. So when you remove the burden of ideation from your editor while helping them understand Andromeda diversity requirements, they'll actually be able to edit 5 times faster. So recommended tool stack: Premiere Pro for editing, CapCut for editing, DaVinci Resolve, or After Effects. For Figma, or for statics, it's Figma, and we just think it's the GOAT. So yeah, then for reviewing and feedback, we use Frame.io for reviewing the final ad creatives. You can also just use Air if you're doing that, but Frame.io is a little bit better for sharing them to our clients, or you can use Google Drive. It's up to you. Couple of processes left. Delivery. People involved in this is the creative strategist, management, and a media buyer. And what happens here is you're basically closing out the production loop, and it's done by the creative strategist. The video is now done, or the static ad is now done. You close the loop with the content creator for the video. The strategist will actually send feedback to the creator on that video. what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it. And that will ensure if we use that creator again, then they will have feedback on the last batch of content that they did, and they can just make a better video in the eyes of a creator, or in the eyes of a content creative strategist then. Then there's invoicing. The strategist will request an invoice to be sent to either the founder or management or whoever handles financials within your brand. Management or whoever does that will go and pay the invoice. And the thing about this is the faster you pay the invoices, the happier creators will be, the faster they'll deliver the next batch of content, and the more they'll want to work with you and prioritize you over other brands or other agencies. So the handoff sync then is between the creative strategist, maybe management as well, and the media buyer. And this is crucial. A media buying call needs to be ran every week or every day for stand-up if you're really at high volume for creatives. And this isn't just dumping files into a folder and marking it done on the creative tracker, whether you're using Sheets or Notion. It's actually having a call and discussing what creatives are ready, which should be prioritized, and the media buyer understanding the testing structure on what they should go with. And there's just being agreement and connection between those two roles, so the creative strategy role and the media buying role. And the final thing here is context is king. A media buyer can't do their job effectively if they're launching blind. They need to know the hypothesis behind the creative, and that will allow them to place it in the correct location within the ad count, whether you're testing by market desire, whether you're testing by persona, whether you're just testing by each individual creative test. So yeah, that's what you need to have communication between them. And then finally, it's the go live protocol. Management and the media buyer involved here. The budget gate, management should obviously have a clear understanding of what budget they want to spend so that they can give the final ad to the media buyer on the testing budget for the coming period. And this just prevents any issues related to budget and spend. Then the media buyer will actually build a campaign that aligns with the ad sets, with the strategy that was agreed upon in the delivery phase with the creative strategist. And then an important traceability step is we use, and if you look at the final step in the diagram, the media buyer doesn't actually just launch. They'll go back to the project management tool and they'll log exactly where the ad lives as well in a comment. But we'll use specific naming conventions as well. We ensure that the ad name in the account matches the ad ID on the database. The reason we're doing this is we can actually track all of these creatives in reporting later and make much more effective creative reports if we have clear naming conventions. If you have something like video final version 3 MP4 as your ad name within your ad account, then you basically have no creative strategy. All of the work that you're doing here, you're missing about 50% of the value from it. So if you use a naming convention where you actually specifically have the creative code, so you might have a concept code on the concepts in your tracker, the overarching angle, the market desire that it's solving, the framework for the ad, so whether it's problem solution, us versus them, before versus after, and then the level of awareness, the creator, whether it's video or static, and then anything else. That will greatly improve the level of reporting and creative reportings that you can build later. So finally, there is an additional process where we try and scale winners and salvage losers, and that is the iteration loop. Again, it's very, very similar to the processes that I went through there, but the entire process up until now is taking a creative from ideation to launch, and that is a good basis to start from if you don't have a process like this in place. Now, the reason that we do this iterations process is we can kind of use this process to just look at the raw files that are in our Air digital asset management system, and we can basically create an abundance of new ads that we don't need content creators for later. The reason this is valuable is because you've sourced all of the raw content. It doesn't have overlay text, it doesn't have music, it's just the creator talking or else individual B-roll shots. You can do so much with that. Mashup videos, you can make specific additional videos using new personas or new angles. You can even change the voice completely and change what they're actually saying completely, or just kind of showcasing in the video by using AI voiceovers. And it just allows you to cover an additional need for creative volume without actually investing in new content. So that is basically it The thing to think about here is you need to build a machine or you need to buy a machine. If you want to build a machine, you hire for those roles within your brand. If you want to buy a machine, then an agency like us or like any other creative agency that is actually doing what they should be doing will have a system like this. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and yeah, let's catch you in the next one. So when you look at a diagram like that, it might seem a little bit rigid, but structure will actually create freedom in your creative production process. If you separate out the strategist from the creator and from the editor, then you'll actually remove a lot of bottlenecks that are killing your growth in your paid acquisition right now. So if you can't scale to 500K from intuition and random acts of pieces of content that you're getting, which is probably what you're doing right now if you're watching this video, then you need a machine that will actually drive that production, that creative production, and drive that paid acquisition. So really, you've got two options. You can go out, you can hire a strategist, you can manage creators, you can hire editors, and you can build this internal workflow yourself within your brand. Or the second option is you can plug us in, you can let AdPunch be your creative operations team, and we'll install this system entirely into your brand so that you can actually focus on the growth of your brand and not creative and file management. So if you're ready to scale, click the link below to book a strategy session with me. I'm always happy to give advice or anything like that. So hopefully you got some value, and looking forward to catching you on the next one.